All right, good evening. I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Hampton Township Council for Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025. We'll start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Blackburn?
Present.
Ms. Fritsch?
Present.
Mr. Midgley?
Present.
Mr. Sholey?
Present.
Dr. Johnson?
Present.
Mr. Speakman?
Present.
All right, first item on the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting held Wednesday, December 11th, 2024, the organization meeting held Monday, January 6th, 2025, and the special meeting and agenda meeting held Wednesday, January 8th, 2025?
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Blackburn?
Favor.
Ms. Fritsch?
Favor.
Mr. Midgley?
Favor.
Mr. Sholey?
Favor.
Dr. Johnson?
Favor. All right, the next item is citizens' agenda matters. If anyone has anything that they would like to address to council, please step to the microphone and state your name and address. Good evening, Mr. Whirling.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
My name's Al Whirling, lifelong resident, residing at Talakavy Road. During the Christmas bird count in December, my area of watching took me to sample down by the creek where the new pavilion, fishing pier, really nice area, really nice. I expect people to have a lot of fun down there. As a gesture to the township, I'd like to even offer a cash donation if we could, like, place a safety sign somewhere visible that people will see. One of those green and white that has the stick figure of a person climbing up the hill, and it says, in case of flash flood, climb to higher ground. And if it's only a gesture, you know, I'd kick in $75. But from past experience, I've been here my whole life, and I know that creek gets pretty violent. I've seen beaver dams on that creek. So I would just like to put that out there.
That's very generous of you, and that's a very good point. That area has, that area has flooded several times. Is that something that we can put up a warning?
Could look, yes. We plan on putting up a couple other signs there for use of the pavilion in the park. It's kind of like a share, first come, first served bids. Yes, we can include something like that. Thank you for your offer.
And if it's just a gesture,
Yes.
you know, I'll put in $2. up to $75. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whirling. Anyone else? All right, then let's move on to administration. And actually, I guess we have nothing other than all of our reports, so we'll start with the North Hills Council of Governments report. The reorganization meeting was held last week and otherwise consisted of routine business. I will be serving as president of that board for the next year, but then my term will be over. But I am happy to report that once again, for the most recent bid openings, all of them had several bids that were in the estimates or even actually well below. So I'm hoping that this is a trend that is going to continue. Did anyone have any questions about the COG report? All right, then Water Authority monthly report. Anything to add or any questions? All right, Engineers monthly report.
I do not have anything to add unless there's questions.
Legal Counsel monthly report.
I do not have anything to add unless there are questions.
Controller's monthly report.
The hat is prominently displayed.
Yeah,
You want to put it on while you talk?
there we
All
go.
right.
proud alum.
Well, you have been very, very fortunate the last 2 months because I've just said I didn't have anything else to say. But this is the end of
We
the
knew
year.
that would change.
It's the end of the year.
No, it's the start of the year.
Uh,
Yes, a review of last year,
Yes, it
please.
is. Yes, it is. The 24 books have not been officially closed. We have a few additional revenue and expense items we expect to receive and hopefully get included in the final 24 numbers. So there are some things, some numbers that will change just a little bit. Nevertheless, the 24 fiscal year ended with a greater surplus in the general operating fund than we had anticipated. Even with the unbudgeted transfer of $500,000 to the capital improvement fund at the end of '24, the budget surplus will exceed an additional $300,000. In regard to revenue, real estate taxes exceeded budget by $44,000, although if tax refunds are included, it actually is a slight deficit. The RAD tax was below budget by $30,000 as the budget was incorrectly included a one-time American Rescue Plan funding in '23 that we didn't deduct when we were looking forward into '24. Earned income was $166,000 over budget. LST was $22,000 over budget, which reflects strong employment within the township. Now, if you think about that $22,000, that's $52 a person. So $52 into $22,000 is over 400 additional employees, somewhere, somehow, passing through, or at least, contributing. But it just, I don't know where they're coming from. The D transfer exceeded budget by $98,000, which was $100,000 above the actual '23 actual. And unexpectedly, December '24 was $35,000 more than December of '23. So the sales, home sales and the transfers are still ticking ahead of pace. Building permits exceeded budget by $45,000, reflecting not only new home construction and Windmont development, but also the strength in residential additions as well as some commercial development. Community center related revenues were $78,000 over budget, reflecting increases in our facility rentals, fitness memberships, and summer camp enrollment. Regarding expenses, as mentioned, real estate tax refunds were $47,000 over budget. Administrative and finance department expenses were basically at budget, and although IT incurred $80,000 over budget for professional and consulting service expenses, offsets in reduced salaries and other contracted services resulted in a break-even budget for the department. Likewise, although police overtime and buyback exceeded budget by $184,000, offsets in salaries for full-time and part-time officers resulted in total police expenses of only $9,000 over budget. There were no demolitions in 2024, which resulted in a $20,000 savings in the planning department. This and other savings offset the unbudgeted expense of $28,000 toward the code ordinance project. Code enforcement was $15,000 below budget in wages as the addition of a part-time code officer was unsuccessful. DCS was understaffed for most of the year, resulting in $108,000 below budget in salaries and benefits. Although there were variances within the DCS accounts, the net result was $4,000 below budget. Reduced overtime and materials for snow and ice control resulted in $120,000 below budget. Whereas storage for salt was at capacity in mid-December, current supply is minimal. In all likelihood, the savings of the last 2 mild winters will be made up in '25, and good chance that we will probably be over budget in that account. Fuel and vehicle maintenance and operational expenses were $25,000 below budget in '24. Fuel and tires accounted for most of that savings. DES. Expenses for 2024 are $210,000 below budget. And that is attributable to reduced maintenance and supplies to operate the old plant. So the budget for '24 was based upon the prior operating of that plant, and, half of it was gone. So, looks good. The total of all community service departments combined was only $6,000 over budget. And with revenues being $350,000 plus over budget and expenses in total being $25,000 to $50,000 under budget, the general fund balance will accordingly increase. A final amount will be reported in February after all 24 revenues and expenditures have been realized. Stormwater management revenues exceeded budget by $115,000, of which $80,000 was collection of delinquent accounts. Additionally, interest income exceeded budget by $27,000. The Wildwood Retention Project Bridge, pointing at the wrong thing. It's not the retention. That's correct. I need to put pond in there. The Wildwood Retention Pond Project bridged multiple years. And as such, the budget for revenue and expense were variances in each year. The project was initially budgeted for $600,000, but was completed for $654,568. It was partially funded by a grant of $388,042. Most recurring annual expenses were at budget, but many projects, as expected, were not started and are carried over into 2025. The total stormwater management expenses did exceed revenue by $222,000. The stormwater fund balance carried forward towards 2025 projects is $870,000. The capital improvement fund and budget has become a somewhat fluid budget. Some incomes that were budgeted were not received in '24 but are expected in '25. Some capital improvement projects are spanning multiple years and the budgets are not. DCS vehicles are a prime example, where a truck may be budgeted but cannot be ordered, or where a truck is ordered but it is not received or billed in the same year that it is ordered and budgeted. Capital improvement tax revenue was under budget by $20,000. General fund revenue of $500,000 was transferred to the capital improvement at the end of '24. Unbudgeted real estate tax refunds were $25,000. That's in addition to the $47,000 that was in the general fund. Road paving expenses were $179,000 below budget. The Sample Road hillside stabilization ended up being $100,000 below budget. The South Pioneer Arley grant project was $125,000 below budget, but that will carry over into 2025. The grant revenue of $175,000 for that project will also not be realized until 2025. So the Clearview Bridge project was $147,000 over budget for the year. This project has been budgeted over multiple years, beginning in 2020. With COVID-induced delays and design changes, it has greatly exceeded the original budget of $750,000. The total project cost is currently $1,778,834, of which we received a $250,000 grant. The project was significantly funded in 2024 by the use of earned bond interest monies. The Community Park Trail is another multi-phase, multi-year project, also initially budgeted in 2020. For 2024, the project was $58,000 over budget. The total project over the 4 years is $1,382,656. There were some reallocations of capital improvement projects in 2024. So some of the projects were under budget and some of the projects were under budgeted, but the net was close to a break even on those items. The capital improvement fund balance going to 2025 is projected at $951,890 based on receipt of final payment for the Clearview project. You would think that they would want their money. The capital improvement budget included a $950,000 starting balance. So we're right on the money with how we did the capital improvement budget for 2025. That's all I have.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Unless you have other questions.
Does anyone have any questions? All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
The body of this will be in the minutes, so you can,
Jerry, is there anything significant, Jerry, that's remaining to close, or is it just kind of, you know, pennies here, pennies there, like little things, nothing significant, in other words?
well, we would expect another code sys bill for the month of December. Any 10,000, 15,000, whatever that happens to be. The Clearview Bridge project is going to be 75,000, because that's basically the retainage for that project.
And we did get that bill in Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
What other expense? We've got some revenue to be realized yet for the sewer collection, the December receipts, and there's another one, but
Thanks.
it'll change a little bit, but nothing that is major,
Yep.
major
Okay, thank you.
impact. And nothing that is out of line with what was expected
Right.
in terms of our review in the budgeting process and discussions.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Information technology report.
I have nothing to add unless there are any questions.
All right, for the library report, I just want to call out, Susanna mentioned very briefly the Super Bowl event, which is Saturday, February 8th. And so for anyone who doesn't know what that event is, it's a soup cooking contest. It is $12 to enter as a cook, and $10 to enter as a cook, and I believe $12 this year to come and taste all the soups. But it is a really great event. There's usually between 13 and 16 different types of soup. Everybody, you get a little cup of each one, and everybody brings in their own garnishes for whatever they've made, whether it's cornbread or oyster crackers or who knows what. And there's usually a bake sale, a basket raffle, and a few other things going on. But it's just a really great event, especially if soup happens to be your favorite food, which it is mine, especially on a day like today. All right, so I just want to put a little pitch in for that. Public safety, anything to add? for
I
your
have
monthly
nothing to
report?
add.
Any questions? All right, EMS, please.
I, of course, have a few things. I appreciate the time. You each should have received a packet, and there was additional data in there for end-of-year data from 2024. I'd like to review some of that, just quickly highlights for the year. So for the year, we had 62,843 paid staff hours, 1,116 volunteer hours, primarily by 2 individuals. We had just under 4,000 student hours. We really welcome students to our facility, and our staff loves training them, and it gives a great entry point when we need new staff, which fortunately has not been for quite a while, actually. We've been very, very stable from an employment perspective. We answered 6,678 calls, 18.3 per day. Our busiest day of the year was 30 calls in a day. 4,799 of those patients were transported, 13.1 per day. 3,409 emergencies transported, 9.3 per day. 1,390 non-emergency transports completed. And that's we did staff the BLS ambulance 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday, primarily taking people from home to hospital, or hospital to nursing home, hospital to rehab, those kind of things. That non-emergency activity provided $293,000 in support to the emergency side of our business, which is the reason we run that tool. 1,879 response without transport in the EMS business. That largely means 1,879 response without any revenue associated with it. We staff 41 community events, certainly many of those right here in the community park, 15 CPR classes. Look for a significant increase in the number of public CPR classes in 2025. 25 athletic events, primarily through the school districts that we covered. Steps forward, we had implemented significant firefighter rehab enhancement, which is funded by an $118,000 GEDTF or gambling grant that has helped us provide better coverage and protections for our firefighters when they're working, to do medical assessments in a controlled environment, inflatable tent that's air conditioned, heated, and all those things that many of you have seen. And I'm thrilled to say that at the end of December, we took delivery of our 2 new ambulances that many of you heard me whining about, constructively complaining about, that we ordered in mid-2022. That we finally got delivery of, and I see you have the same issues with public works trucks and so forth here. Of those 2 ambulances, excuse me, one of those was 100% grant funded, again through gambling money, for $291,000. Any questions about any of that? Okay. For the year, we answered 1,694 calls in Hampton. That's an increase of 140 over the previous year. Service-wide, 6,678, increase of 177 calls additional, and transported 4,799 patients, an increase of 207. The rest of the reports are pretty normal. If you go to the 4th page titled SHEMS Response Times, December 2024, this is a report we've been talking about. We stopped reporting. We talked about we're going to stop reporting response times from the time we're dispatched to the time we get to the patient's side. It's a safety recognition in the industry. We want people pushing, driving too fast, those kind of things. So instead, we're going to be reporting response time from the time we're alerted to the time we go out the door. We've had a policy in place that governs that, what our expected response times are, and we're going to evaluate against those. So an E0, an E1, or an E2, which are higher priority calls, from 8 a.m. until 11 p.m., our normal waking hours, we call it, our response time out the door is 2 minutes or less, and overnight, 3 minutes. And then the lower priority calls, it's 3 minutes, 24 hours a day. So we broke down each one of those categories. For E0s, the highest priority call, we had 71 of those. We had 1.47 average response, 1.47 minutes average response time. There are 3 outliers for a 95.8% compliance rate. E1, 115 responses, 1.71. 10 outliers for 91.4% compliance rate. E2, 87 responses for 1.89 minute response rate, 11 outliers, 87.4%. That's the only one that fell below our threshold of 90%. E3s and E4s, 102 of those, 2.03 minute average response time, 6 outliers, 94.2% compliance. Overall, for a 92.2% average. Every single one of those that are outliers, those crews have been contacted and they're aware of the non-compliance, and we'll be tracking that moving forward. For a first effort, we've been looking at these numbers anyways, but it's the first we've really been communicating it very actively back to the staff. I certainly expect those numbers to improve, but I'm pretty happy with where they are now. Any questions about that? All right. Next is just some yearly calls, 2024 calls by community by month. Shows you exactly what happens in the communities we respond to, primarily Ventnor, Hampton, and Shaler, and the other communities we get into for mutual aid. Same for the next report by day of the week. And the last report, I think, may be of interest to some, and that breaks down by community what hospitals we go to, and this looks at emergencies only. We've talked about this before, but the primary reason we go to a hospital is because a patient gets on our ambulance and says, I want to go to this hospital or that hospital. 85% of the time, we take that advice and do what where they want to go. Most of that decision is based on physician relationship and insurance. The ones where we try to influence that decision is people that are traumatic injuries, burns, people having STEMIs, acute cardiac events, stroke, those kind of things. We have a wealth of hospitals that can take care of them in Pittsburgh, and we'll direct them to those specialty care centers. Again, with patient agreement, though. So you can look through and see that where the patients from Hampton go on, certainly from Hampton, the significant majority is 661 to Passivant of the 1,695 calls, and that includes 641 that weren't transported at all, patients weren't transported at all. And the breakdown between facilities, 676 to AHN hospitals and 2,745 to UPMC facilities. Again, almost all insurance driven. Any questions about that? All right. Second, last, I just want to say thank you for been working with the folks at the community center and Mr. Jurowski. You're helping us host on the 31st of this month a first ever EMS legislative forum where we've invited all the EMS chiefs from Allegheny County. There's 32 of us, and all of the state elected officials, senators and representatives that have service area within Allegheny County. There's 26 of those. So there's 5 senators and 21 representatives. We have either the person themselves coming or office representatives for 21 of those 26. I'm still hoping we have 1 who's not coming at all and 4 that we're still working on for response. So it's a great response to talk about the plight of EMS. We think that it's a multifactorial solution as far as funding to solidify EMS. And in particular, what we focus on is a statewide fee schedule that requires insurers to pay EMS directly based on a formula which will be 400% of Medicare. It has a consumer protection in it that caps a patient's out-of-pocket expense at $100. And we think it's a very achievable goal. It's the primary goal of the Ambulance Association of Pennsylvania for the next 2 years. And with legislative session just starting, we're really excited to have that conversation. And fortunate that Dr. Arvind Venkat is on the insurance committee at the state level. He's a board-certified emergency medicine physician. I've known him for 20 years. I worked with him before I came here, and he's going to be a significant proponent for us in this battle. So we're looking forward to having that conversation. Any questions about that? All right. And then last, I want to take a moment and talk about Mr. Speakman. So, as you all just witnessed tonight, he's a little bit expert in the numbers. And he has been on the board since shortly after I arrived 6 years ago, and has done similarly amazing things for us, and is elected to step down when the term was up at the end of 2024. So we have a certificate of gratitude presented to Jerry Speakman. Recognizing your outstanding service, unwavering dedication, exceptional skill in balancing budgets, we hereby award you the official first ever Golden Calculator Award. Now, this is a very high-level piece. I want you to know that it's fully functional, so I didn't waste any money, Jerry. Your ability to track every penny while simultaneously striking fear in me by saying just one more question will forever be remembered. Thank you for keeping us on track.
Look at this.
Well, they all know my exuberance for this. Is that the word?
I'm not laughing. I'm afraid. I'm going to have to see that calculator every time you come into the office.
Thanks for keeping us on track, reminding us that fiscal responsibility isn't a buzzword, it's a lifestyle. Your vigilance and wisdom will be missed. May your retirement be as balanced as your spreadsheets, and may you be as honest in counting your golf strokes as our expenditures. And we also have a little gift certificate here to the Capitol Grill for you and Pat for the time you spent away from her with us, which we sincerely appreciate. And just want to say thank you very much for everything. This is, I just want to warn you, this is not real gold. You'd be very upset if it was. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thanks, everybody.
Wait,
Oh, yes.
I have just one more question.
Uh-oh.
So I just want to congratulate you on like another outstanding year. You got new ambulances, you have a stable staff, your transport business, which started off with a slow start, has made money. And you know, now you've gathered all of your colleagues to really advocate on behalf of EMS. So I just want to say congratulations on an excellent year. And my one last question is, so what's the challenge for 2025?
Well, we've got to train more people in CPR. We've got to get this state fiscal program passed. We really do. It's, you know, I have to say, you've heard me say this, and every time, it is not, I mean it every time, and that is, this is a team effort. We are different and fortunate because of the support we get from Hampton, from Shaler, from Aetna. It's what differentiates us from many of our other colleagues in EMS. We did a study with the EMS Chiefs Association that I chair in 2022 and saw what the problem was with municipal funding. And we just redid it in 2025. We've seen some significant improvement there. So, you know, the municipalities are stepping up with tight budgets to support EMS, and that's why we're now looking, you know, it has to be a multifaceted approach to fix the issue. So, those are the two things.
Congratulations on a great year.
Well, thank you. I really
You're off to a
appreciate
great start
that.
in 2025. Thank you.
I wouldn't rather do it anywhere else than here. So, thank you all.
Yeah, and-
Thank you.
And he's not rid of me yet either.
Yeah, that white book in front of him is something that he imposes on himself that he likes to review every month. So we bring that up and he brings it back. So, all right, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right, community services, please.
I'll handle the first one. As we discussed before, There were a series of additions and deducts essentially to the Clearview Road Bridge project that began in November. That were incurred mainly in November. There were five additional costs and 3 deducts from the cost. The bottom line in terms of how this affects the project as a whole, the change orders themselves raised the project cost by about $8,000, but we're getting reimbursed from People's Natural Gas for doing their restoration work to the tune of $11,000. So the total cost to the township of the project actually drops by $3,000. So those are the change orders before you. We didn't bring them individually because we were just trying to get the project over the finish line at the end and get it open. So.
Any questions about any of the change orders? All right, then can I get a motion to approve the 8 change orders for the Clearview Road Bridge project for a new project total of $1,606,056.14, which does not include the reimbursement from People's Natural Gas?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Fritsch?
Favor.
Mr. Midgley?
Favor.
Mr. Shuley?
Favor.
Ms. Blackburn?
Favor.
Dr. Johnson?
Favor. Item B.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I bring before you this evening a request for authorization to advertise our annual construction equipment, sanitary line cleaning equipment rental, and construction tradesman bid authorization packet. The packet was in your council packet, and this is an annual program where Public Works mainly uses it for storm sewer replacements. A lot of the capital improvement projects in our storm water fund. Jim uses it occasionally for manhole replacements and sanitary sewer line replacements. And then JR's department will use it for tradesmen projects around the facilities. If we get authorization this evening, the bid opening would be March 18th with possible award from council at the 26th meeting.
All right, does anyone have any questions about this item? All right, then can I get a motion to authorize the Assistant Township Manager to advertise for bids regarding the annual construction equipment rental and construction tradesman program?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Midgley?
Favor.
Mr. Shuley?
Favor.
Ms. Blackburn?
Favor.
Ms. Fritsch?
Favor.
Dr. Johnson?
Favor.
Thank you.
Item C.
Good evening. This is to seek authorization under their capital funds budget for the concrete repairs to proceed with Lab 8 designs in the amount of $3,000 for professional services and for a bid package. And this is also to seek authorization to advertise for bidding once that package is complete. So our timeline for this is once the bid package is complete, is advertised on February 20th and February 27th. Bids due on March 20th, bids open on March 21st, and then come to a council meeting on March 26th for approval to award for a contractor. Our main priority for this work is the community center area, sidewalks that go in and around that area, ADA curb cuts, as I stated before in last meeting, and the drainage concrete issue at the front doors. And then we're going to add alternatives within the park area of, the pool area and a pad or two at the police station. Any questions on that?
All right, I'm going to go ahead and ask for the motion first, and then for this one, and then we can go through the second one. Can I get a motion to authorize the facilities director to pursue the professional services for the bid packet related to the concrete repairs of the community center and other municipal complex locations in the amount of $3,000, and to authorize the advertisement for bids for the same project as described in the December 30th memo?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Shuley?
Favor.
Ms. Blackburn?
Favor.
Ms. Fritsch?
Favor.
Mr. Midgley?
Favor.
Dr. Johnson?
Favor. All right, second item, please.
Second item is a request to release capital funds for the community center lighting upgrade. This is the great room A and B, so both great rooms. in the amount of $52,692.50. This amount is greater than what is budgeted of $50,000, so it's greater by $2,692.50. This was due to lighting fixtures increase throughout the last probably like 3 or 4 months from when I actually budgeted this roughly about 6 months ago. We're starting it based on, this is because of the controls failed in the great rooms, specifically on Great Room A, which are old and obsolete. So to repair those controls for that lighting, the cost was just as significant as replacing everything. So we're replacing all the fixtures with LED, new direct digital controls that will be integrated to the building automation system that we currently have at the police station, the community center, and actually municipal building and fights. The purchase would be right now at $20,000, $542.50 through Height, which is a CoStar's supply contractor. We would buy the materials in February, but we would hold on to these until the work would be completed on June 9th to June 27th. Those dates are the only time frame that the great rooms are available to be shut down. So the only cost would be incurred, the other cost wouldn't be incurred until basically the end of June. So Dilts would do the install between those 3 weeks. They're part of CoStars and part of the trades for this year up until the new one comes out. At $28,525, and then we have the OZ, which is a building automation system integration, at $3,600, $3,625. So again, that total at $52,692.50. There is an estimated $1,000 rebate with this for the lighting because we're going to fluorescent to LED. But I will say that there is kind of rumors floating around that Duquesne Light is postponing it for at the end of the month. They usually do this up until right around March, April, and then the new program starts again in June. So I don't know if you're familiar. Last Friday we did a PJM, kind of off the grid. The plant did it. The community center did it. So those programs restart in June, like June 1. So like right now, they're anticipating the money kind of ran out for rebates for lighting upgrades at the end of January, but it usually comes back. So I just wanted to inform you that because I know we talked about that before, that it would only be, $1,700 more. But I just don't, giving you some of that information right now that I just received within the last 2 weeks.
Any questions? All right, then can I get a motion to authorize the facilities director to pursue the community center lighting upgrades in the amount of $52,692.50 from the capital improvements budget per the memo dated January 2nd?
So moved?
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Blackburn?
Favor.
Ms. Fritsch?
Favor.
Mr. Midgley?
Favor.
Mr. Shuley?
Favor?
Dr. Johnson?
In favor. All right, anything to add to the Public Works and Parks and Recreation monthly reports?
Yes, I would just like to give you an update regarding our salt supply situation. As you may have heard in the news, there are a number of Allegheny County communities, even including in the COG, that their salt supply is either very low or they are completely out. We are in the same situation. Our salt storage building, the capacity is about 3,000 ton. As Jerry mentioned, we were at full capacity at the beginning of this winter season. We've also received 1,900 ton of salt. As of last evening's salt run, we were depleted. The COG contract, all of the municipalities, they are having the same problem, but Morton Salt was completely out of salt as of yesterday. They are in the process of trying to replenish their plant, so hopefully by Monday, we'll start getting some of their supplies in. We did get about 200 ton from the state contract today. Hampton Township currently has on order 2,350 ton out there to be delivered. So the state supply, they basically supply the state and other higher governmental entities before the communities. So we are starting to get some of those supplies in. We have a Public Works Department head meeting with the COG next week. And this is going to be a big discussion because all of the municipalities combined, the maximum, once we meet that maximum order, then Morton Salt has the option of increasing the price per ton. So they are only 227 ton before we meet that maximum. So more than likely, that price is going to go up. So we are ordering between both the state and the COG contracts. So like I said, we did receive 200 today. We usually go through, if we get a storm, we go through about 200 ton. So knock on wood, we don't have a whole lot of snow events. They are doing everything they can to cut back as much as they can. Last night, it was mainly main roads and intersections and hills. So I just wanted to give you an update of where we're at.
Is there snow in the forecast anytime soon?
Tomorrow,
Of course there is.
yeah, and this winter, like, we're getting half-inch snow events, you know, even just a coating with it being cold, they have to treat the entire township.
I will say they have done a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
I got lulled in a sense of safety one day when I was leaving for work. I was like, oh, look at these roads, they're great. And then I went to Richland Township and they were not as great.
I appreciate that. I will let them know. Thank you very much.
Well, I just want to second it because, I drive back and forth between the city and here, and I always know when I'm on Hampton Road.
It's obvious when
It
you
is
get
so
into Hampton.
obvious, and it's such a
Yes.
relief.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Thank you
Like
very much.
one run, how much tonnage do we use for one run
It's about 200.
per, oh wow.
Yes, for one ton. And now Sunday evening, they were called out at 8 o'clock in the evening thinking there was like one event.
Yeah.
They were here like basically till 3 o'clock the next afternoon. But the snow event, they were done with it about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. They hit one snow event, they came in, waited so that they, as soon as they started loading up again, because they could see another event come in, they got like 2 to 3 inches of snow through that one. So it was a very long evening. And they're doing what they can. So we're doing what we can to get the salt in, but we're all in the same situation.
Is that Morton increase? Is it contractual, meaning they, we know how much it might go up, or can they just charge whatever they want at this point?
It's a one-time increase, so they
Okay.
can't keep increasing it, but they
Okay.
have the option, to increase it just one time.
At a rate or
It did
whatever they
not
want?
say
Okay.
in there, it doesn't say a certain percentage or anything
Their
like that.
supply demand curve.
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah, and according to the news this morning, we have now had 22 straight days with measurable snowfall. So I really want to know, who was it that was calling for a mild winter? Because my goodness, they were
Farmer's
wrong.
Almanac. Farmer's Almanac.
I agree with that.
Everyone kept predicting a mild winter,
Yeah.
and this has been anything but.
We'll see what the groundhog says in a couple weeks.
This way we're not gonna see them.
Too much snow. Okay, environmental services, please.
Good evening. The first item I have this evening is we're requesting authorization to purchase a Kubota RTV through the DES capital outlay funds, and that is from my January 2nd memo to New Hampshire.
Anyone have any questions?
As I've said before, this is where you get the savings from the great room. This is about $6,000 less than what we budgeted. We budgeted $40,000 for this project. So,
I just have one question. If you order this now, when are you expecting to get it in?
I actually spoke to them a couple days ago, and they have it ready for us to pick up.
Ah, that's a nice change.
Yes.
All right, anyone else have any questions? All right, then can I get a motion to authorize the Environmental Services Director to purchase a, was it Kubota?
Correct.
RTV through the DES capital outlay account in the amount not to exceed $34,000 for the memo dated January 2nd.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Fritsch?
Favor.
Mr. Midgley?
Favor.
Mr. Shuley?
Favor.
Ms. Blackburn?
Favor.
Dr. Johnson?
Favor.
Besides my monthly reports, I'll be filling in a little bit this evening for the sewer plant construction update. Just a couple items to share. over the past month, we've had work being performed, but not to the same speed that we had in the fourth quarter, primarily due to the weather as well as the holidays. So just a couple updates of where we stand. Initially, the contractor was hoping to have the walls of the office building completed by the end of the year. Unfortunately, they are short on masons in the area, and that project basically was delayed for almost a month. Currently, we have one of those walls constructed, and the second one should be picking back up tomorrow. Over the past number of days, due to the temperature, even with the heated structure around, it was still too cold for them to start laying block. So that should be picking back up tomorrow. We have several concrete slabs that have been poured over the last number of weeks. When they do pour concrete in these sort of temperatures, once the concrete is laid, they immediately have specialized heated blankets that they put over top of that to maintain the temperature to minimum temperature so they can set up properly. Inside the digester building, a lot of internal work continues. There's a lot of pipe infrastructure and equipment going into that building. And just a final note, we have our construction meeting next Tuesday. We'll be given more updates from the contractors on where things stand. So that is all I have unless there's a question.
It does not appear so. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, zoning and planning, please.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. First item is the request for authorization to advertise for an ordinance related to the takeover of the Four Seasons sanitary system. Testing is continuing on this. They just delivered quite a few documents last week. KLH is reviewing that right now, and we expect to have the as-built plans by March 3rd. So we're still moving in the right direction. Tonight, this is just an authorization to advertise, though, so I would ask that you approve that.
Any questions? All right, then can I get a motion to authorize the land use administrator to advertise the proposed ordinance related to the takeover of the sanitary sewer system for the Four Seasons development?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Midgley?
Favor.
Mr. Shorley?
Favor.
Ms. Blackburn?
Favor.
Ms. Fritsch?
Favor.
Dr. Johnson?
Favor.
Okay, the second item that I have is a similar request. This was discussed at the last meeting. There's not much to talk about with this one, so I would just ask that you grant me the authorization to advertise that ordinance tonight.
Any questions? All right, then can I have a motion to authorize the land use administrator to advertise the proposed ordinance relating to the takeover of the sanitary sewer system for the Talata sanitary extension on Wagner Road?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Shorley?
Favor.
Ms. Blackburn?
Favor.
Ms. Fritsch?
Favor.
Mr. Midgley?
Favor.
Dr. Johnson?
Favor.
And the next item is the request for release of funds from the improvement security for the Aquinas Academy parking lot revised site plan. This would be their final release. They only have a little more than $8,000 left set away anyway. We were just still getting documents in throughout this afternoon, so we got Gateway's final review letter today, this afternoon. Gateway did review the as-built plan. They went out to the site. He's saying that they are deficient by 3 conifer trees, 2 hydrangeas, and 3 holly bushes. So he's requesting that we keep that $8,292.49 in place in the bond to cover those plantings. So that would be my recommendation as well.
So we're not releasing any funds at the moment?
Yeah, this would be a denial of this request.
Okay. So do we just make a motion to deny the request?
Yes, I believe in the past, we don't have these very often, but I think in the past they've done a motion to accept the engineer's report and thus deny the request for release of the bond. But Michelle, however you think it should be
That's fine. I have
phrased.
no problem with, for the engineer's report, deny the request.
All right, then can I have a motion to accept the engineer's report and to deny the request for the release
Question.
of funds? Yes.
Question first. So in other words, they can't plant until spring?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then at that time, they would resubmit?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And it says that. They
Thank
have to
you.
wait till spring. No.
All right, so can I have that motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Ms. Blackburn?
Favor.
Ms. Fritsch?
Favor.
Mr. Midgley?
Favor.
Mr. Sholey,
Favor.
Dr. Johnson.
Favor.
And then the last item tonight is just a referral. We have one application this month. This is for the consolidation of about 12 parcels that we've acquired down adjacent to the water treatment plant, sewage treatment plant down there. So this will just be part of that expansion project, and I would ask that you refer that to the Planning Commission tonight.
Any questions? All right, then can I get a motion to refer the Ellison Park? Wait.
Water pollution control.
Thank you. Lot consolidation, application 25-01 to the appropriate boards and commissions.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Fritsch,
Favor.
Mr. Midgley,
Favor.
Mr. Sholey,
Favor.
Ms. Blackburn,
Favor.
Dr. Johnson.
Favor.
And then nothing to add to my report unless there are questions.
All right, old business,
I have nothing to report.
new business.
I hope you enjoyed the light meeting tonight because we'll have a lot in February. Sorry. Don't worry, it's all good stuff.
All right, does anyone else have anything that they would like to add for new business? All right, then I will adjourn this evening's meeting. Stay warm.